Coming up on today's show, we're going to discuss the latest news in the world of Disney, as well as talk about a franchise that is underrepresented in the Disney parks. That's coming up on Traveling with the Mouse. Welcome, everyone, to episode number 495 of Traveling with the Mouse. Just 5 more episodes until we reach number 500. Can you believe it, folks? My name is John. I'm your host for this week, and I am joined today by my esteemed colleague, Adam.
What's up, everybody? We probably should develop a plan for 500. What are we going to do?
Yeah, we only got like a month.
We keep building this up, and we have nothing planned.
Yeah. It's probably going to be just another episode, really. We're just going to be like,
just writing
hey,
notes.
we made it to 500. Yeah,
Right.
we probably should have quit long ago, but, here we are.
Or it's 500, and we probably should do something special, but
Yes.
I don't
Maybe
know.
we'll have a poll and say what it is
You
we
say
should do
that,
special.
and then we never do the
We'll
poll.
put out a X poll, I guess is what it'd be called now, not a Twitter poll, but an X poll, and see what it is we should do. Because we need you guys to tell us what to do. We can't decide for ourselves. We need you to tell us what to do.
I guess.
All right.
We'll figure it out.
How's it going, Adam?
It's going.
It's going. Aren't you going to Disney World?
Yep, this week. The same day that Epic Universe opens.
Yes. So that's what, Thursday? Right?
Tomorrow, as the release of this.
Okay, well, the 22nd's the actual opening day is what I meant.
Mm-hmm. Indeed it is. But are they ready for opening day? I don't know. I'm sure they will be.
Yeah, it sure seems like it from what I've seen lately. Have you watched any of it, by the way? Or have you buried your head in the sand?
Tried to. I've seen a few things here and there. Do we have to talk about Universal?
Yes, we do have to talk about Universal. As a matter of fact, I've changed my mind. This is not going to be an episode about Disney news and Mary Poppins. This is going to be an all Universal special.
Good night, everybody. We gotta go.
The pizza place. Have you seen anything about that? Because the pizza place seems to be the thing that people are
really
saying how great the atmosphere is, and then the pizza itself is good. Gosh, I wish I could remember the name of it now. I'm gonna have to look it up. I'll look it up later, just so we can mention it again. But let's jump right into the Disney news, since Adam doesn't want to talk about.
No, this is
the happening Disney thing. Podcast. Yes, but you don't want to talk about the happening thing of Epic Universe.
Yeah. So we'll see. Next week, we'll see how it turned out.
Well, I mean, I expect there to be some waits at times, and it's not going to be perfect by any means. When Disneyland opened in 1955, nothing worked.
Yeah. Right.
Just to borrow that line. But anyway, I do expect them to have most things worked out. Doing these previews the way they've done them, like opening it up to the public, has probably been for the better, I think. But we'll see.
Yeah, you mean the trend that they've both been doing, which is kind of getting a soft open. It's essentially a soft opening.
Yes, essentially.
What they've kind of done in the past, but it's more public.
I think it's almost like it gets you to train for the big day, so to speak. So if you're running things as if they were going to be open, right? So
gives them some good reps too for that.
Yeah, something like that.
Agreed.
The employees get some real life training, so to speak. Yeah. What they're going to be doing. So off that topic for now, since you don't want to talk about it.
I don't.
This is kind of a interesting story to start off with. So apparently Bob Iger visited President Trump to show off Disneyland Abu Dhabi plans. Now, that headline's a little bit misleading, but anyway. So apparently in the media today, Trump, not
that's today. According to Trump, right?
Well, I mean, this says remarks to the media today. He actually said these things.
Right.
Wow. He spoke from Abu Dhabi and said that plans for the theme park are, quote, incredible, and noted that Bob Iger showed him the plans recently.
Yep.
Let's see. We have American companies. We have Exxon, Oracle, RTX, Qualcomm, and many others. Too many to name. Disney, I see the new theme park is going to be incredible. Bob Iger was in my office the other day, and he was showing it to me. It's going to be incredible. I'm reading this
Very
verbatim, so you could tell who said it.
I thought we were trying to bring Jaws back to the U.S.
But anyway, yeah, make Disney great again. Make Walt Disney
Abu
World
Dhabi better again.
I don't know. Make Florida. Make the what is it?
That's what we want is Disney World to get
right. We want Disney World to be great again. Anyway,
with Mary Poppins attraction, but we'll get to that.
For his part, this is what it says here. Iger's been praising the UAE since the deal was announced. He's calling it the perfect place for a Disney theme park. And
interesting.
The Disney building it there was a huge endorsement in quotation marks. But there was a rumor that Iger vetoed the idea of building one in Saudi Arabia, but it doesn't seem to be that way based on the public. So I don't know.
Who knows? I'm sure we'll hear more about what actually went down later. I mean, it'll come out at some point.
See, and I don't know if this was rumor or did I just overlook it. Did you hear about them talking about it being an indoor theme park?
I heard that too, right? I've heard all kinds of rumors about this. So I'm like, I don't know. It makes
sense being in the desert for it to have, for it to be either indoors or have a lot of shade. I don't know.
Well, none of them, including Universal, has done a great job of including shade in their designs. Like, I don't understand why they haven't done that.
To be fair, when a park first opens, they do plant young trees because they know they will mature. Right. I mean,
in
same
5
thing happened,
years or so, yeah.
Same thing happened at the original Magic Kingdom. If you go back and look at footage from 1971, like it looks pretty like flat. Like you don't have the trees are not very tall all over the place.
Right. So, especially like Rivers of America. It was very undergrown.
Yeah.
And of course, Main Street, even until like the 90s, it looked like a forest down Main Street. And of course, now they've cut down
made some changes.
Most of those trees in the hub in particular.
But my point being that it became lush over time. I think it's probably going to be the same way. I mean,
sure, but there's more than just tree shade though that you can do. But
yeah, and we've always given criticism to Toy Story Land, for instance, and their seeming lack of shade.
Yeah, but it's been how many 7 years for Toy Story Land, and they still don't have
sufficient decent shade. Yeah.
Theming wise, I can understand why, but practically you got to have some shade.
Right. In Central Florida.
Yeah, it's not just sun, because if it starts raining in Toy Story Land, you've got like a mile hike to get to shade or shelter from the rain.
Yes.
Zero shelter. One other thing. Sorry, I'm ranting about rain now. You can tell Galaxy's Edge was designed for Disneyland as well, because the marketplace has plenty of shade, but when it rains, that area gets soaked in Florida. And they should have made the Florida one different, but they didn't. The Florida one should have had more shade or shelter from the rain, not just the sun in the marketplace. But anyway, that was rant over.
Your opinion.
They should have made Florida different because the climates are very, very different from California to Florida. So
yeah, I mean there should be some differences, but
yeah.
But even in California though, they like say for instance the teacups, they made almost like a natural shade for it still,
which they tried to do in Florida when it first opened, right? And then they realized, it rains a lot here, and you can't operate the teacups when they're full of water. So
I wonder if they literally puddled up.
I bet they did to some degree. It's like, we need to put a roof on it. It's like took them like 2 years to realize that.
Right.
Like, all right, guys.
All right, so let's move along.
Right.
This one I found interesting just because this franchise of Disney's has been absent as far as new episodes go, I think, for quite some time. I can't remember the
Yeah.
actual when it went off the air, but Phineas and Ferb are having a meet and
Long
greet
time
coming
ago.
to Epcot.
June 1st.
Yeah, starting June 1st. I
Hmm.
really don't know what brought that on. Are they bringing the series back maybe?
Hmm.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of
Doesn't
details on
say
it right now, but I just find
doesn't
it
say
interesting.
where.
I wonder if they're being watched a pretty good bit on Disney Plus because I gotta be honest, there's a generation.
You're right.
I actually really enjoyed watching the show, believe it or not, even though I was like, what, when it first came out, I was like in my
Yeah.
early 30s. I actually enjoyed watching this show because of some of the humor that, it's one of those cartoon shows where
Right.
there's certain humor that only the adults watching with the kids are going to guess
Right.
type deal. And
Right.
I get their sense of humor that they incorporated in the
Right.
show, especially the stuff involving Doofenshmirtz.
Hmm. Yeah, because this was like 15 years ago when it was on, right? Or somewhere in there.
Yeah, that was when it was first on. I can't remember how long the run lasted right off the top of my head.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it was 2007, 4 seasons, and it says there's a new season coming June 2025, June 5th.
There you
So
go.
it's
So
gonna
they did
premiere on
decide
Disney
to.
Channel. So that's why they decided to add this, I think. So episodes will air on Disney Channel and Disney XD, but then will be added to Disney Plus on the following day. So
Okay.
10 new episodes.
I do like the format that Disney has used for their exclusive Disney Plus series recently, or maybe this is the first time. Because with Andor, what they did, instead of doing the whole like Netflix has done in the past and like released a whole
Is
season in one time.
right. So you binge it.
Yeah. Disney has taken that kind of like the happy medium, right? So they're
Yeah.
with Andor, they've been releasing 3 episodes per week, which I think is about perfect.
Ugh.
Because think about it,
Yeah.
between the average person probably between Tuesday to Tuesday could watch 3 episodes, right? 3-hour long,
Mm.
roughly 45-minute episodes,
Hmm.
and with no problem.
Yeah.
It's not, no, I'm sure some people watch all 3 like back to back as soon as it comes out. I get that. But then,
If you have time
there's
for that.
people that, you know, because of life, may spread it out over the course of the week, and now by the time you have more new episodes, you've just caught up in some
Mm.
cases, right? So, yeah,
Indeed.
I think it works out perfect that way. What do you think? You haven't watched it yet, though.
No, I just haven't made the time to do it.
I haven't looked to see just how well it's being received, but I just know personally, I think it's the best series they did since Mando, personally.
Mm.
So,
I got into this one more than any of the others. I think Ahsoka is the other one I watched a lot of.
mhm.
But
Ahsoka
other
was
than that,
good.
yeah. What was the one? I actually didn't hate Book of Boba Fett. I know people hated on the way it ended, especially, but I enjoyed it for the most part. There was some weird parts here and there, but overall, I thought it was actually pretty decent. Yeah.
I think one of the things about Andor is that's refreshing is it's focused solely on story,
Mm.
which was lacking, I think, a lot in the Star Wars universe. Like they always tried to do a little too much to hit the nostalgia button or to put a modern message in there or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like for instance, in the series Andor, there is a lesbian couple. It doesn't feel forced. It feels completely natural, like
Mm.
you used to see in shows. It doesn't feel
Very
like,
well.
hey, we're gonna throw in a lesbian couple. And it felt
Not feeling
completely
forced.
organic. It felt completely organic.
The other thing I think that's good about this show in particular is the timeline is probably a timeline that most Star Wars fans, like the current generation or like the ones that grew up with the prequels but still like the original two, like the prequels are like having a resurgence in popularity.
Right.
So I think that because of those are the ones that are coming of age, not really coming of age. They're the ones that are like in their 30s now
Right.
watching most of this stuff. And the timeline fits for them, I think, as
Right.
well.
And yeah, we're seeing the generation that grew up on things like Hannah Montana are coming
Right.
into their own, right?
Exactly. Yeah. 10 years from now, it'll be interesting to see if the sequel trilogy has its fan base that like the prequels did, where
Right.
they'll come into their 20s and 30s and be the ones that are like, hey, these are actually pretty good. We'll see if that happens. I don't know. I have my doubts.
All right. I know you don't want to hear so much about Epic.
Oh, we're back on that. We already talked about Epic.
Well, hey, look, it's intertwined. I'm
All
gonna
right.
hit you. I'm gonna hit you with a little Epic every now and then.
All right. If you must.
Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry in Epic Universe
Um,
has
yeah.
opened a traditional standby now prior to opening. Don't know if
Okay.
on opening day they're going to have a traditional standby, but they have now opened one at least during
For the last preview
these
days.
previews, the last previews, which I know
Well,
starting tomorrow that's going to make no difference, I guess, if they change it. But sounds like they're going to try it at least. I don't
the
know.
only thing I've heard about this is that the virtual queue doesn't work. So that may be why they did that. Because nobody can get one.
I did
That's what I keep
see
hearing.
some people that it was pretty rough trying to do the virtual queue, which,
Yeah.
to be fair, was pretty rough when Disney first rolled it out too.
Well, that's what I'm wondering is
Yeah.
like, did the same developer that did Disney's app do
Right.
Universal's, I guess? Because like,
Right.
nothing works. Yeah.
Right.
Especially
It's
virtual queue.
very interesting, but
I
yeah.
remember the early days of virtual queue and it would be gone before you even hit the button.
Right.
And then it would be you got a backup boarding group. Remember those?
Something like that.
Your group 284 and Rise of the Resistance is only averaging like 80 groups a day.
I
All
just
right.
remember being there in the November of 2020 and missing out on it twice. During that time period, it was pretty hard to get. I think them
Yeah.
adding multiple virtual queues kind of helped with that
Right.
over
No, it
time.
was the early
'Cause it
days. It
had
was very difficult to get.
Yeah. Rise still has some pretty long lines. I don't know if that's a testament to its popularity or a testament to its reliability. It's one of the two or a combination.
I
But
well, I don't know. I looked at 8:30 p.m. tonight, right before half an hour before closing. It was 40-minute wait.
okay.
So
So that's probably
I'd
one
wait
of the
though.
best times to do it though.
Yeah, because by then the people who had lightning lanes have probably already done it by then. So the lightning lane will be very few.
I mean the group of people that say skip Phantasmic just so while people are lining up for that, it's a perfect time to get rides in.
Yeah.
So there was a first look here at The Little Mermaid, a musical adventure. I guess the new one, the Marquee.
Yeah, I've seen
Been
some
updated?
videos posted about like when Jodie Benson was there. I saw that. I
Mhm.
saw something that she was like, "Oh, it's great," but I mean, you're supposed to say that on an official Disney video. Like,
Well, I mean, it's a nice fresh look to the outside, that's for sure.
you're not gonna be like, "This sucks. Don't come see it. Go to Epic Universe instead."
Now that's what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I mean, I would give this a look. I don't know when I'm gonna give it a look, but, I would give this a look.
Well, let's see. It's gonna open
It opens the
after
27th, so you're not gonna
yeah.
be there. When's the next time
Actually,
you're gonna be there?
I will be there on the 27th, but I won't. We're not planning on going to Hollywood Studios that day. So,
Okay.
oh well.
Maybe you should
Huh.
change your plans.
For some reason, I thought at one point I thought they were opening the same day as Epic because we were making jokes about that, but guess not.
Anyway. Annual pass holder discount dates, ticket prices have been revealed for the 2025
Howie.
Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party.
Yeah. But what is scary is the prices going up.
Well, I was going to say,
Usual.
this is, hold your breath here. It says annual pass holders are offered a $10 discount on special event tickets, including Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. So we went up 20 to give you 10. No, wait. Is that pretty much how
Kind
it
of,
is?
yeah. I mean, that's basically it.
So at what is it? The August, like for example, the August 15th date, they're 149
Yes,
for an
because
adult.
everyone buys the first one always sells out.
Basically, the annual pass holder is getting it at the child price, pretty much.
Right. Essentially.
So if you have a child that's an annual pass holder, you really save nothing. That's for the event. Just going to the event with you. Because
Yeah.
that's exactly what this is. They're giving you the child price for an annual pass
Right.
holder. And if you have a child in your group that's an annual pass holder, there was no savings. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Because they don't have. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, for the top tier, which is the one you have, right? What's it called again? It's called the Incredipass. Pass. Isn't it the same price for all parties, no matter the age?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
So they essentially got no discount for being an annual pass holder.
Right.
Did you plan on going to Not So Scary?
I haven't in several years, honestly. So I don't know that I will.
It's been a little bit since I have too, and I just every year whenever they show new things, like the vloggers and everything, it's I don't think it's enough to justify the cost ever.
Yeah,
you just have to go. I mean, unless you're interested in just like getting like massive amounts of candy, I guess. I mean, but
right, and then what? Sell it to make try to get your money back. I don't know.
I guess you could do that. It just doesn't. I don't know. I'm not finding it that appealing lately. I mean, that's just me.
Yeah, not at the prices, because I remember when it was $80 or $75 for.
Oh yeah, I remember it was definitely under 100 for sure.
Yeah, and now 119 is the lowest, but that's only 2 dates. The earliest, well, after the first one, the next.
And there's so many dates now. It's technically not an exclusive event. Let's be honest,
right?
Because they sell more tickets per event than they used to, and they have more events. There's nothing exclusive about it.
So,
well, I guess it's exclusive in what some of the offerings, maybe that's what compared to like the regular in the day. I guess you could call that exclusive, but
right. So now I wonder the Christmas party, because it was always more expensive because there were less events overall.
Yeah.
I wonder that last Christmas party is going to be like $275 or $300. What, $299? Like what are we up to?
I don't know. All I know is I can't really see me going to either in the foreseeable future. But
just I don't know. The Christmas party would be my favorite, just because of the vibe.
I would agree. I would tend to agree. I do like it a little better.
We didn't grow up on Halloween so much, so Halloween's not my holiday. Christmas has always been my, as Ernest Pure would say.
I will say is when it comes to the cruise line, I have actually done both the Halloween decorated cruise and the Christmas, the very maritime.
Yeah.
And I honestly think I liked the Christmas themed one better than the Halloween themed one.
Yeah. That just may be, though, that we love Christmas more than Halloween, but
maybe. But I mean, they had things like a gingerbread building, like as far as a craft or something, like one time gingerbread house. I don't remember them having a particular like, I don't know, like build a witch's broom or something during Halloween. I don't remember them having that. So I felt like it was there was more stuff that it felt funner in my opinion on
I see
doing the very merry time cruise.
Mm-hmm.
Epcot expands. There's a pilot. If you haven't seen, we haven't talked about this yet. The solar-powered smart trash cans ahead of a possible park-wide rollout. Have you seen these at all?
I've actually seen these at a Chick-fil-A, believe it or not.
Oh, really? Chick-fil-A where?
It was in Nashville, actually.
Oh, okay.
Tennessee. I was there a few weeks ago, and yeah, you had to like, I can't remember if you waved in front of it or something and it would open. I can't remember how it works now, but it was very odd. And then it would like make a bunch of noise when it did whatever it did to the garbage.
Well, I guess at Epcot, it's interesting that they would do it there because that's kind of like a food and wine table.
I know, right?
Trash can is. So I'm wondering if you try to use these as a table, will it open or something? Or if you're standing there in front of it?
Looks like has a foot pedal on that one. It's not like an automatic open and close thing. It looks like you push it down on it with your foot.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It looks like it's tall enough that it would be even more and wider, so it'd be even better table for food and wine.
Yeah.
It's flat.
Although
I
it
think.
does, is it flat? I don't know.
Oh, it has that little like roof in the middle, almost like a
Right.
peak in the middle of it. But I
Right.
think it would work.
As long as you could balance your drink on it.
Maybe they're trying to discourage people from using them as tables by
Yeah,
putting that
well then
curve in it.
put more tables out.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. So it says Communicore Hall is now closed for a transformation to Goofy Core, whatever.
No.
Has people really even thought? Has anyone even really talked about this in a while?
I mean, only that it's not ever really been that great, except what was the one time was it Festival of the Arts? They kind of liked what they did to it then.
Maybe just
I think it was.
marginally. I think it was after someone complained though that they made it better.
Right.
So apparently Goofy Core is an immersive experience where guests can dance and play along with Goofy. So it's essentially a dance party with Goofy, it sounds like.
So they're just gonna add some lights and a dance floor instead of all the tables and chairs.
I guess.
That's it.
It's like they created this spot and they like want to do something with it so badly, but it's almost like they don't know what they want to do with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was sold as like, oh, a rotating festival center kind of thing. Like it would be themed to whatever was going on. And then they're just like trying to figure out what to do in there.
Right.
So a goofy dance party is what they came up with for the summer, I
Right.
guess. While there's Diet Epcot until Food and Wine opens.
I suppose.
Which is not until the end of July now or early August, whatever it is. Food and Wine. So.
Yep. I know earlier I kind of mentioned it, but it's called Pizza Moon, by the way, is the Epic Universe restaurant that apparently is getting a lot of talk.
Okay.
One person here stated, it says Pizza Moon has the character of an old dark ride in the best possible way. So it's kind of the way it's decorated, so to speak.
Correct.
It kind of reminds you of a classic dark ride, the way it's decorated. And apparently the pizza is quite good. So
I see a pizza with potato chips on it, so
there's
that
potato
looks
chips on it.
amazing. Yeah, literally. Yeah.
So yeah,
Looks amazing to me.
that sounds like that's right up your alley.
So I see this some pictures of the theming, like, okay, like a spaceship crashed. It actually does. Yeah, I see what you mean about a dark ride. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an old school kind of.
It apparently gets a good, like people find it appealing.
Interesting. It has the moon with a slice of pizza in its eye instead of like the spaceship.
The moon. When
Whatever.
the pizza hits your eye, instead of the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie.
Yeah.
Right. To kind of follow that up, tomorrow, Epic Universe will not cannibalize Walt Disney Visitation.
We'll find out.
I feel like they've had to say this more often this time around. I'm just saying.
Yeah. They keep doubling, tripling down on this statement. Yeah.
They feel like the recent Q2 earnings suggest that, it's good news. But I don't know if that necessarily means it's good news for Walt Disney World. They claim that bookings are strong for the rest of the year, but as you well know, a lot of people will book just so they have like a placeholder, right? And then may end up changing stuff. I've never just like totally canceled. I have changed things. Like I've changed hotels, obviously, but it's hard to say. They like I said, they claim the bookings are strong, but that doesn't mean that they're as strong as they should be, we'll say. So I don't know. Hugh Johnston says that bookings are up year over year. He said in Q3 bookings are up 4%, in Q4 they're up 7%. So I guess what they have booking for at the end of the year is good. So
is that his real name?
What? Hugh Johnston? Yes. Yes, it is actually Hugh Johnston. Not
okay. If you say it fast, though, it sounds like you're saying never mind.
Yes, I get what you meant. But that is his real name.
Okay.
All right. I think that's kind of enough for the news for this week. We've kind of covered some of the highlights here. Oh, one thing I did forget to mention. I think, we talked about it a little bit last week about how they're going to have the Barker bird show up in the beak in the barrel is what it's supposed to be, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we talked about it. 'Cause I joked she was gonna be the DJ.
Yeah, something we may have mentioned a long time ago whenever Trader Sam's opened, but one thing that I didn't, or if I realized that I forgot, that the like a goddess or whatever in there that's animated
Mhm.
inside Trader Sam's.
Oh, Calypso or something?
Is that who that's supposed to be? Well, anyway, she's the same animatronic and figure that was in the Tiki Room under new management that was used in that show.
I didn't realize that.
Yes,
Hmm.
it's the exact same figure. I actually discovered that on the most recent, one of the most recent TPM videos. So that's where I got that information
Ah,
from. They also let us know where Little Red is now. Remember Little Red from
yeah,
the
from the
Safari?
Safari, mhm.
He's apparently in there's like a cast member store that's exclusive to cast members that he's actually on display in there. He's actually
Oh,
got a place in there. A Little Red does. So
didn't they at one point have a dead like, his mom, a dead animatronic elephant, but I think
I
they
don't ever
removed
remember seeing that.
I think they removed it before it opened, but
I remember we ended the show on a high speed chase,
yes, I do remember that.
and there was someone at the end right there, like holding a weapon,
Yeah,
uh,
right.
like they
Like they had
like they got the poachers, I guess.
right. They took care of him.
It's something like that because you don't see the poachers. Like they arrested them. Yeah.
Yes. I do remember that going really fast through the area, which is now where the base camp is or whatever, with the goats or whatever,
Yeah. In that area. And it
or
seems
whatever
like
they
that's
call
on
it.
the left side. I remember it being on the right side where we saw Little Red, though.
Yeah, I think it was on the right.
So they'd rearranged something somehow
Yeah.
in that area. So,
Right, right.
yeah, I always look to see if I can remember in my mind where they were because it's kind of like it feels totally different there
Right.
now compared to what it once did.
And the bridge that collapsed or fake collapsed or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, the last time I went over that, they didn't do that.
Yeah, they stopped doing that a long time ago, but
Yeah. Well, see, I thought they still did it after they changed the ending, but
I don't know when they stopped it, but they stopped it.
so let's move on to the topic. I think you have most of the information on this now, but I have some of it. We actually just thought about this. This
Yeah.
just kind of came out of the blue. I was actually reminded of it after watching a post from our friends from Parkeology. They like to talk about things,
Indeed.
and they brought it to my attention, and I was like, "Yeah, in this day and age, how Disney bases a lot of the stuff they do in parks off of IP that's successful."
Yeah.
Like back in 1964,
Mhm.
Mary Poppins, which, as far as I can tell, arguably the most successful live action film that Disney ever did, right?
Right.
It grossed $103 million, which today would be equivalent to 900 million in
Yeah.
2025. It won
Right.
5 Oscars, one for
Yeah.
Best Actress, one for Song, one for Score, one for Visual Effects, one for Editing out of 13 nominations that it
Right.
received.
Yeah, to get nominated for Best Picture too, I think that was his first and only Best Picture nomination too, wasn't it? Walt Disney's?
Yeah, there you go. So, and I did lose the Best Picture. I don't remember who to.
Yeah.
Still, it won 5 Oscars. So,
Yeah. I mean,
arguably his
his crowning achievement for sure.
right. There you
Walt's.
go. And yet, here it is. It was out in 1964. Walt's still alive.
Yeah. Not much longer.
They don't even make any plans to bring the presents to Disneyland or even the Florida project
Yeah.
and Disney World. They don't make plans to put her there in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
As a matter of fact, pretty much the only time we got to see Mary Poppins featured in an attraction was in the Great Movie Ride, unless I'm
Mhm.
missing something. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it.
The music, like Chim Chim Cheree is gonna be Carousel with Prince Regal or
This is
Prince
true,
Charming
yeah,
Regal.
well, yeah, that's true,
That's
it's
about
incorporated there.
but
But for a film that had the
yeah.
success that it did,
Right. It needs more than that, right? The Jolly Holiday Bakery at
Right.
Disneyland.
And
It's
isn't
about
there a little bit there's a little bit of Mary Poppins incorporated over at Grand Floridian,
yes, and she used to be. She's not anymore, right? Is
right?
she still? She used to be part of 1900 Park Fair
Yeah, they
as a.
switched it up some.
I don't think she's there at the moment, is she? I know Tiana's there now with.
When it was a
I'm
very
blanking.
weird mixture.
Yeah.
Like,
They
didn't they
used
have
to have food
Aladdin
coasters too.
or something like that?
Yeah.
So,
Anyway, so there's not as much as there should have been. Of course, she's always included in parades and stuff. Like it's either some of the like holiday, like either Halloween or Christmas parades. Bert shows up, and sometimes their character meets Bert and Mary Poppins too at
right.
more rare events. But other than that, yeah, it's not a huge presence.
Right. So now we did have the talk about putting in more recent years, the talk about putting an attraction over in the UK pavilion that's Mary Poppins themed. So that would be one idea, but I think you've kind of run a couple of things through AI, a
I
couple of
did, yeah.
ideas. So why don't you just enlighten us with
Well,
what you've come up with?
so I think the real reason why it probably never got developed as an attraction is Walt died in 66. And if there was any plans, they probably shelved them or, you know, it was that what would Walt do era. We don't know you know, what to do after that. And then one thing led to another. And my assumption is Eisner, when he took over, probably thought, well, we should include Mary Poppins when he was developing MGM Studios or the Great Movie Ride in particular. Or maybe
Well,
it was the Imagineers that came up with that. And
well,
that's
I feel like it was an obvious choice for the Great Movie Ride for all the reasons I just mentioned.
right. Yeah, because it was Disney's most successful film up to that point, even.
Right. If anything,
Um,
it should have had a bigger role in that,
did did
in that
Roger
ride.
Rabbit make more money than Mary Poppins?
Uh,
I don't
no,
know.
but Roger Rabbit was the movie at the time that the park opened, so that's why his presence was heavy there at that point in
Yeah,
time.
because it was something to promote that was current. Yeah.
Right. I
But
think I
yeah,
think that really I think the promoting the now stuff actually started with Eisner. That's what I think that started about.
yeah,
And then Bob Iger took it to the next level.
yeah. So I did ask AI this. I was like, okay, if Walt had developed an attraction for Mary Poppins, what would it have been like? Like, what do you think it would have been? And what it came up with is kind of like, yeah, okay, not what I would choose. So we can talk about what this came up with, and then I think they
Maybe
would.
get into it.
I think they would have done better, something better than this. So it says the attraction name could have been Mary Poppins Jolly Holiday Carousel Theater,
Carousel Theater?
a rotating
What?
theater show with each act rotating through magical scenes from the film. So the first would be Cherry Tree Lane. The second would be going into the chalk painting, which would be more animated. So there would be like a screen at some point. You would look like you would go into a cartoon. And then the penguin dance and fox hunt. And then the chimney sweep finale with the rooftop stepping in time. It says Walt was obsessed with Mary Poppins and the theatrical magic of the movie. This ride could have been Carousel of Progress meets Fantasyland musical review with an Omnimover finale on rooftops. Plus, he had the tech on hand.
Yeah.
So it's like Carousel of Progress meets an Omnimover. I don't know how that would work, but okay.
I don't quite get that, especially at the time frame they were talking about.
Yeah. Now I could see an Omnimover chart, like a dark ride, being put somewhere, but
I was
Disneyland
about to
wouldn't have had
say
room for that, would it?
that was probably the original thought was to do a dark ride because that would fall in line with what they had done at that point, right?
Right. But where would it have gone at Disneyland if it was tried to? They would have developed it maybe for Disneyland. You would think like
Yeah,
Fantasyland,
it's
but
not
does it
likely
really
they
fit
were
there?
it's not
I
likely they
mean,
were ready to replace anything yet, right? I don't think
yeah,
so at that point.
unless they added something back where Toontown is now, like if they expanded
Well, you
earlier,
know what?
they
Yes,
probably could.
because they probably would have had more room. Let's think about what was in the works when Walt did pass, right? There's
Yeah.
2 attractions that went to Disneyland that,
Small
were in the
World
works.
and Pirates
Well, I was gonna say
were both.
Pirates and Haunted Mansion was actually, already conceived, right?
Well, yeah, it was. Yeah, they actually had the building there forever. Like the mansion part was there way before the ride was built. But I was Small World opened. I think that was like the last ride that Walt actually opened, right? Small World. That was
Probably,
1966
yeah.
when it opened. Maybe beside Small World, you could have put Mary Poppins. I don't know. There was potentially room back there.
Well, they
Anyway,
obviously had the land because they added stuff without replacing anything later, right? So
yeah,
they had a place for it to go.
yeah,
Now,
but
did they have the funds at the time to do another attraction based on everything they were already had in the works? That might have been the issue.
yeah,
Um,
especially with the buying up the land and then starting Disney World
yes.
construction. That's probably another reason why it never happened.
But if you think about it, Disney World, when it opened, is only 7 years removed from the release of the film.
Yeah,
So they could have made space for it in Walt Disney World if they had
and
wanted to in the
that's
as
the
an opening day.
that's the perfect segue into my next thought, which was if they had built it for Magic Kingdom's early, either opening day or early 70s, and developed it specifically for Magic Kingdom, and this is what it came up with: Mary Poppins Flying Umbrella Ride.
Flying umbrella? What do
So
you
it
do in
says
this ride?
it's a suspended dark ride like Peter Pan, but upgraded. You board your own umbrella vehicle and fly over Cherry Tree Lane. So essentially, it picked a popular attraction and just threw Mary Poppins on top of it, like Carousel of
Kind
Progress.
of.
And then now,
But in Mary Poppins, she only really flies in the beginning and the end mostly,
yeah.
right?
Well, it says you would fly over Cherry Tree Lane in the animated countryside and the rooftops of London. So it says you're gently bouncing umbrella motion on the vehicle, I guess. The black light sets and projections. Could you do that back then? I guess.
Well,
Audio of
that's
Mary
what
Burt and
that's
Frank
what
Gilbert.
Pan uses.
Yeah, the black lighting, but the projections, like, I don't know
Oh, yeah.
why it fits. So it says the early Walt Disney World team loved duplicating and scaling Disneyland ideas. This would have been a spiritual cousin to Peter Pan's fight. So I think they're saying instead of building Peter Pan at Disney World, you would build a
World that
Mary
would build.
Poppins there.
Yeah, I could see that being a possibility. They weren't gonna originally build pirates, right? So
Right. I think instead of a flying umbrella, it would make more sense to be like the carousel like vehicle, but then I guess you couldn't everyone would have to have their own carousel horse like in the movie when they're in the animated part.
well, it's funny you should mention that because with today's technology, I'm thinking they could probably develop an attraction that involves, like, jumping into the painting, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe at
Well,
some point
yeah, like
then maybe at some point you actually do get on a carousel-like horse, or maybe your vehicle looks like it is or something like that or something, all the kind of stuff you can do nowadays, so
so I'm curious if it gets to today's era, which I asked it to do as well, as if it's like Runaway Railway, but Mary Poppins.
well,
That that's essentially what it is. You're going into a cartoon world.
right.
Yeah.
But I'm talking just that's just one aspect really, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you
Interesting.
could do a Mary Poppins ride in which that's just one part of the ride, jumping into the painting.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so now the Eisner era, the 80s, late 80s or early 90s at MGM Studios, if they decided to give Mary Poppins its own attraction instead of just including it in Great Movie Ride. So, oh God, the attraction name is the Supercalifragilistic Soundstage Spectacular. So it says it's a hybrid live show plus ride plus film set walkthrough.
I see.
The
Okay.
Supercalifragilistic Soundstage Spectacular. So the concept is you enter a live taping of a new Mary Poppins production. You walk through the behind-the-scenes sets that become real, then board a trackless ride vehicle, which they didn't have back then, that goes into the chalk painting, ending with a rooftop dance, umbrella, and in a rotating theater. We're doing this again. And it says, Ijar loved mixing Hollywood meta, big theatrical sets, and studio-themed immersion. Think Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular meets Muppet Vision meets Great Movie Ride. But all Mary Poppins. Okay. I don't know about that, but
here's an interesting concept. What if, like we were talking about earlier about jumping in the painting?
Yeah.
What if that's kind of like the pre-show, similar to Runaway, yes, like you jump in the painting.
Right.
Then, as you recall, what they do in the inside the painting is they board a actual carousel, like they get on a real carousel. Like you start out by getting on these vehicles. This looks like a real carousel, and then it through
departs
the floor or whatever, like you jump off the track, so to speak, like, and it's moving up and down just like a horse does, and you're riding this horse through some of the things that they did, like chasing the fox and all that good stuff. You find yourself in a horse race.
That would be cool. I wonder though, because it's such an individual thing for kids.
Right.
I guess you could have kids ride with
Well,
an
you could
adult.
modify it. I'm not talking about doing actual. Yeah, you can modify it to be a vehicle that holds, like, I don't know, 3 or 4.
I guess. Or I guess you could do some individual horses, and then like every carousel has like the sleigh or something that multiple, you know what I mean?
Well, I think that they make it look like a horse sort of, but yet it's a ride vehicle that, 2 or 3 people can ride in. Sort of like a Dumbo, maybe?
Or maybe it's a mixture, because the movie had a carousel with horses, but the ride could have some of that, but then other.
I think there's a way to make it look sort of like that. Although an individual one would be cool too. That would be neat.
Right. That would be awesome if you could.
Because that's very similar. I think if you think about it, that's very similar to Flight of Passage, right? You're on your own.
Wouldn't that be cool though if it starts out as like a normal carousel and you go in
That's
circles?
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then you jump off the track.
Right. But you had your own individual horse still? That would be awesome.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
But of course, you have to accommodate other types of guests, right? And kids can't ride by themselves.
That's the only downside.
Right. But the idea of it would be really awesome. I would love that.
Well, I mean, there are other theme park attractions that exist that, have almost like a single thing, but that one child can ride with them type deal.
Yeah. You have like a bigger saddle where the kid could sit in front of you or something,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So kind of like Pteranodon Flyers over at Islands of Adventure. You pretty much have to have a kid to be able to ride that.
Right. Or even like Astro Orbiter or something, you could get into, or maybe like some kind of vehicle that more than one person could fit in.
Right. So Astro Orbiter is a good example. It only fits like 2 people, right?
But you could be front to back. I guess you could be front to back.
Right. If you have the kid could be sitting like in front of you.
Yeah.
Like you would do if you would really do if you were riding a horse with a child. Right?
You'd have to have restraints, obviously, so you wouldn't fall off of it.
But you could do it similar to how you do a regular carousel. Similar. But it's a lot easier to make 2 seats front to back with restraints than it would be multiple seats on one, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I would love that. All right. Well, here's a 90s version. If this was a Disney Renaissance version of a ride. Mary Poppins Return to the Realm of Imagination.
Okay.
It says a 4D motion simulator and projection dome. So it says, a new Banks child discovers Mary's magical world via a journal in the attic. Mary returns and takes you through different worlds. Whimsical clouds, musical gardens, a surreal animated dreamscape with talking animals. So it says, think Honey, I Shrunk the Audience or Alien Encounter. The ride would have emphasized emotional storytelling, CGI visuals, and big orchestral moments. None of that really sounds like it could have happened.
So see, you could kind of mix it up to be this that I'm thinking could be similar to like Runaway. Could be similar type thing because it incorporates screens,
right?
But it also incorporates real scenery, I guess. So you could do something similar to that for the horse ride, for the carousel ride in the painting.
It would be interesting if it was almost like an omnimover where everyone's on a horse, but you're kind of in a vehicle still, but you're on your own horse. I don't know how that would work. You start in a circle and then you jump. It'd be interesting.
See, the whole carousel going around thing actually could be a similar concept to like Journey of Imagination used to be, because you rode around in that one scene, you still kept moving side to side for the Dreamfinder scene,
right? Yeah,
and then eventually the track, it opens up, it kind of breaks off to you go out through the ride, and then it's like the next. I think it held like 3 different like sets of vehicles before it released it onto the track, right? So
yeah,
it was something like that. It just you kept going around in a circle, so to speak, until you you exited to the rest of the ride.
Yeah,
something along those lines.
It could be a really fun attraction.
I wonder if anybody's thought of that idea before.
I do wonder.
I feel like they've listened to me and stolen an idea already once. What was it? It was something not too long ago.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, it was the Monsters
coaster
that they're going to do. Because I know good and well we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
But then again, who wouldn't have thought of an idea like that? I mean, surely somebody had to have thought the same idea.
Of course, yeah. It's especially when you first see the movie, you think, oh man, that would be a cool ride.
Just like I've always thought, it's probably not all that relevant now, but then again, neither is Monsters, so sure, why not? We could do it. Have a thrill ride based on the escape scene from the Cave of Wonders from Aladdin. Have a thrill ride based like riding the carpet. I always thought that would be neat to make it coaster-esque. A coaster.
That would be fun.
It actually could be in this day and age. It could be a dark ride / coaster, kind of like you do with some of the stuff that
Mine Train or Slinky Dog does.
Yeah. Well, Slinky Dog's more of a coaster. It's not really a dark ride.
Well, no, but I mean, there's elements in there that
similar to Mine Train. Mine Train has that one little part that's dark ride
in the cave.
And the rest of it's coaster.
It could be an indoor coaster.
Or kind of like the Mummy ride over at Universal, how it starts out a dark ride and then at the end it turns into it has a coaster section to it at the end of it.
Okay, I'm going into the Iger era, so I said assuming Iger took over and decided we're going to do all the successful IPs, so let's do a Mary Poppins ride. This would be
didn't he do that? No.
Well, not with Mary Poppins. This would be his mid 2000s, mid to late 2000s. So it says the attraction would be called Mary Poppins, a practically perfect adventure.
A practically perfect adventure.
I think, though, again, this is before trackless, but it says thinks Ratatouille style, which that was not the era I'm talking about. But anyway.
Well, it's not really before trackless because if you recall, in Japan, Pooh's Honey Hunt, wasn't it?
That's true.
That was like 2001.
So it could have, yeah. Okay, so it could have.
It just hadn't come to the States at this point.
Well, I guess technically, Tower of Terror is a trackless ride, part of it, right?
You mean the part that moves it out? Yeah.
Yeah, it's technically trackless. But anyway, so it says there's a shifting nursery, whatever that means, a 2D animated royal. Oh, is this Mary Poppins Returns? An upside down tea party, a rooftop race with Jack. It says soaring finale over Big Ben. it uses Iger's IP strategy plus new film release. But when did Mary Poppins Returns? It was like
18, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like way after the era I'm talking about, but all right. And then I said, if today they decided to build one, the one they call is Mary Poppins Magic Walk, an interactive walkthrough plus light ride plus AR enhancements. You're guided by Mary's talking umbrella through Cherry Tree Lane. Each room or door leads to a different immersive world, like a musical sidewalk that animates with every step, an AR chimney sweep challenge, a projection dome that transforms when you spin a magical top, a carousel finale where your horse breaks free and gallops through London at night, motion platform ride.
So that's sort of like what I said.
So it says, think Smuggler's Run meets Galaxy's Edge Datapad meets Play Pavilion with a British accent. Okay.
This is something I haven't thought about, but maybe one of the reasons why they didn't do anything attraction-wise we might have some insight as to why from the movie Saving Mr. Banks, because of how
hard
reluctant.
Yeah.
Yes, how reluctant Mrs. Travers
was to any of what they did. Yeah.
Right. So just think how reluctant she might have been for an attraction. Maybe Walt's like, I ain't going through that again.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, though, did you need her approval for an attraction? I don't know. Maybe.
Given that they Disney-fied Mary Poppins as it was, you may not would have. No. Maybe he wanted to, or maybe, I don't know. The movie Saving Mr. Banks at least suggests that she came around, but I think in real life, I don't think she came around as much as the movie suggested from what I've read. So maybe that's the key there.
Right. So she did finally let it happen, but it was a fight.
Yes.
All right. So where would this, I think my favorite out of what we went through was probably an MGM Studios attraction rather than something that would have been built in the 60s. I think it would have been probably changed by now or demolished
if they had done it when the studio
unless it was a classic,
right?
Unless it turned into a classic. But
it makes you wonder that if they had decided to do like the Great Disney movie ride, if it would have been gone by now instead of just the Great Movie Ride.
Yeah,
because some of the films featured in there are truly great movies, but some of them were pretty new. I mean, Raiders, for instance, was only 5 years old at the time that the park opened. So they were trying to utilize
8 years, wasn't it?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, it was 81. So yeah, it was 8 years.
Still, that was pretty recent for what they were doing.
There was an Alien sequel that had been out only 3 years prior to the park open, but they actually did the original one. But it's still, the original Alien was only 10 years old at the time the park opened. So a lot of these things that seemed like they were pretty old were not that old.
Yeah,
that they were using.
Of course, movies in general had only really been out for like 80 years at that point.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, that's still a large catalog to pull from, but
yeah, Casablanca would have only been like 50 years old at that point, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they included a lot of good ones, but there was plenty more they could have. But I guess, was it mostly either MGM or Disney owned?
Right. It had to be one of the two, pretty much.
Yeah.
And there was the Lucas tie-in, which is why they were able to get the Raiders.
Right.
Wonder why they didn't do Star Wars in there at all. I guess because they already had Star Wars featured otherwise. But they already had an indie stunt show, so.
Yeah, what scene from Star Wars would have been on Great Movie Ride? That would be interesting to think about. Because you would want original Star Wars, right? Most likely.
Yeah, probably the original one. For some reason in my mind, I was thinking the scene with the lightsaber battle with Obi-Wan and Vader having something like that. That would be kind of cool.
It could be interesting, yeah. If you were like watching, maybe like have the Falcon in there and then have them like shooting it, like have Luke land on there too.
Now that Disney has solely the rights, I mean, I don't understand why they don't really just try to capitalize on the original films and make like even a dark ride involving the original films. I don't know why they didn't think about doing that.
Yeah, they should do something, right?
They could even incorporate the original trilogy all in one ride if you wanted to. You could take, get the gist like of each film.
The story. That would be interesting. I think, too, I was thinking the trash compactor scene might be a good one for a Great Movie Ride.
Yeah. Maybe it would have been.
Even with the walls, like, closing in on them kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine, though, if they could figure out with the technology they have now, how they could do just, how like in the original Star Tours, how they had you do the trench, the Death Star trench scene. Can you imagine what they could do now with the modern technology doing
Oh, yeah.
doing that scene?
Yeah.
How real they could make it look.
Yeah. Can you imagine, like, a Smuggler's Run where you're doing the trench run? But
Oh, yeah, something like that.
of course, the way that you have to pilot it, it would be a disaster.
Possibly. Yeah.
But anyway.
Didn't they have some kind of a way that they had you, on the Star Cruiser, didn't they have the technology or where they had you, like, use your lightsaber against, like, remotes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did.
So why can't they bring that to the Galaxy's Edge somehow in some way? I mean,
I don't know why
that
they
would make
don't.
sense.
Yeah.
That would make sense, right?
And they obviously need a restaurant. They needed to bring the restaurant somewhere to Galaxy's Edge because that would be a very popular restaurant. You could charge a ton for the entertainment part, like a character meal type price, and people would pay it.
Mhm. Like, Galaxy's Edge is reaching that point where it needs a little life breathed into it, It's starting to reach that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Pandora needs a new attraction too. Or a new, like, film for Flight of Passage or something. Because you can't do the nighttime anymore because it's a ton of work to make it glow at night, and the park doesn't stay open anymore until dark, so.
In the winter.
I mean,
could do it. And certain special event nights,
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's
after hours.
It's not like it used to be, so.
Right.
It was kind of almost like a failed experiment to make Animal Kingdom a nighttime park.
Yeah. They may try it again, though, one day with the...
Yeah, I think Encanto would look great at night, I would assume, that area, so maybe they could.
I thought of this the other day when we had some friends in town. I was like, I wonder how come there wasn't, especially in the Orlando area, how come none of the theme parks have thought of opening a park that's only open at night? Like it's an all-night thing and like it's closed during the day. So it like gives people an option if they wanted to, say for instance, if
something
they
else they could do, yeah.
Right. Like if they wanted to go during the nighttime, or heck, in some cases, if they could stay up enough, go to a day park and then go to a night park.
Yeah,
There's people that would do that. I feel like there's an audience for that, to be quite honest, especially in Central Florida, because it would be a lot cooler.
And
But
you would assume less crowded, so if it was a smaller park that...
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be a huge park.
I don't know, though, but I feel like, yeah.
I think there might be concerns of attendance.
Right.
But I feel like in this day and age that there'd be enough people to do it, personally.
Every day of the year, would it be enough? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I
don't know. Just a thought.
It is an interesting thought, but...
Or maybe change the hours on the existing parks where maybe it's always not quite so early. Maybe it's later. I don't know. Make a park that's it opens during the day, but it's like an afternoon and stays open till like 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a sleepyhead park. Like people that sleep in. It opens at noontime. It opens at noontime, stays open to 2 or 3 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah. They obviously know what gets the most revenue, and that's why they're sticking to the hours they're doing. So
maybe if it's all about revenue, then yes, which it is all about revenue, obviously.
Balancing costs with the income.
Yes. All right. Well, I think we've got a jam-packed episode this week. If you would like to find more, you can at Facebook, X, and Instagram. That's all at TWTM Podcast. We have a Spreadshirt store still in which you can get your exclusive TWTM merchandise there. We have a YouTube channel, which can be found where at?
On our website, travelingwiththemouse.com. You can email us podcast at travelingwiththemouse.com. There's links to all that and more, including the link to get the Monorail and Skyliner team shirts or other stuff. There's other stuff now too, but show your support for your favorite.
Yes, I have to go in there and get my Skyliner shirt so we can have a battle, so to speak. Yeah,
right.
We're going to need to find ourselves at the park together and rather at the same time.
Yeah.
All right. So for Adam, my name is John. This has been Traveling with a Mouse, and we hope you will join us on our next trip.
Not to Epic Universe.
Oh, we're going to be doing a review of the universe at some point, I'm telling you.
Never.
Oh, yes, we are. As a matter of fact, I'm leaving right now. I'm going tomorrow.